The vast crystal chamber of the Galactic Council erupted in chaos as High Admiral Zex Terra slammed her ceremonial staff against the floor. The sound, amplified through acoustic enhancers, silenced thousands of representatives from across the Milky Way. The emergency session had been called with unprecedented urgency, bypassing centuries of diplomatic protocol. Containment has failed, the Admiral announced, her four eyes narrowing as she activated a holographic display above the central dais. The image revealed a blue-green planet, seemingly insignificant among the countless worlds under Council protection. Observation Post Epsilon 9 was destroyed yesterday when it detected an unauthorized Earth spacecraft approaching Mars. The chamber filled with gasps and multilingual chatter. The Methane Coalition representatives bubbled anxiously in their pressurized tanks. The Photosynthetic Alliance's members darkened their chlorophyll in distress. Even the normally impassive Quantum Collective displayed agitation through their flickering energy patterns. "We have observed these humans for centuries," Zex Terra continued, her voice cutting through the rising panic. The display shifted to show humans celebrating the launch of their latest interplanetary mission, snippets of their entertainment showing space warfare, and laboratory tests of experimental warp drive components. "They are evolutionary anomalies," she explained, manipulating the display to show human development across millennia. They became apex predators without claws, significant strength, or natural armor. Instead, they developed something far more dangerous: adaptability driven by perpetual dissatisfaction. The science director, an ancient being with translucent skin revealing pulsing organs beneath, approached the center. His species had been among the Council's founding members 15,000 years earlier. "Their psychology defies our comprehension," he added, his voice a whisper that nonetheless reached every corner of the chamber. "They simultaneously wage war and write poetry about peace. They create medicines to preserve life, then build weapons to end it more efficiently. Our predictive models fail completely when applied to human decision-making." The holographic display shifted again, showing accelerated footage of human development. Cities rising and falling. Technologies advancing in exponential curves, despite internal conflicts, survival through multiple extinction-level events, and most disturbing of all, entertainment consistently portraying scenarios where humans defeat more advanced alien civilizations. "The most critical concern," Admiral Zex Terra concluded, displaying a final hologram showing radiation signatures from Earth's lunar surface, "is that they've discovered trace elements from our previous observation drones. They know they're not alone, yet continue developing weapons rather than unifying in peace as all other species did upon similar discovery." A representative from the crystalline harmonies, beings who communicated primarily through resonant frequencies, vibrated in objection. "Surely preemptive isolation is excessive. No species should be judged before direct contact." Ambassador Krellmore, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber lights, rose from the strategic security section. "The non-intervention argument is philosophically admirable, but pragmatically flawed. Human development curves suggest FTL capability within 50 years. Their psychological profile indicates they would use it for expansion rather than contemplation." The debate intensified, representatives nearly coming to blows, itself an unprecedented breach of Council etiquette. The Methane Coalition threatened to withdraw from Council protection if stronger action wasn't taken. The Photosynthetic Alliance advocated for cautious observation. The Quantum Collective remained frustratingly ambiguous in their position, existing simultaneously in multiple states of opinion. After 3 hours of increasingly heated argument, the vote passed with overwhelming support. Earth must be placed under the highest level of quarantine, effective immediately. As the session concluded, the science director added a final, chilling observation that silenced even the most vocal dissenters. The Krell exhibited identical behavioral patterns before they destroyed 3 star systems and nearly collapsed our civilization. We cannot risk another such encounter. In the chamber's upper observation ring, Lieutenant Commander Nurivax of the Vexillian science delegation watched with troubled fascination. While the others dispersed, she remained, studying the holographic image of Earth still rotating in the chamber center. Such fascinating contradictions, she whispered to herself, an idea forming that would soon shatter thousands of years of galactic protocol. Lieutenant Commander Nurivax huddled in her cramped observation pod buried beneath the lunar surface, violet blood pounding in her ears. The faint whir of life support systems provided the only sound besides her own anxious breathing. As a xenoanthropologist from the typically law-abiding Vexillian species, her unsanctioned mission to Earth violated at least 7 major council directives, each carrying a minimum sentence of mind-wiping. Record personal log, she whispered to her eyes fixed on the contraband multi-spectrum feeds showing real-time footage from Earth. Day 117 of observation. The humans continue to baffle all established behavioral models. Her pod's walls displayed dozens of simultaneous feeds, a human soldier risking death to rescue an enemy child, protesters standing against their own government, scientists working through exhaustion to cure diseases, artists creating beauty with no survival advantage, and inexplicably, humans expressing affection for non-sentient companion species that offered minimal practical benefits. Theory 47 disproven, she noted, rubbing her sensitive antennae in frustration. Humans appear capable of both supreme selfishness and profound altruism within the same individual, often within the same day. No other known sentient species displays such psychological duality. Her private transmissions to her academic mentor, Professor Kelt, grew increasingly heretical. The Council's classification seems fundamentally flawed. Humans are dangerous, yes, but not in the ways we've assumed. Their unpredictability appears linked to their capacity for empathy, not aggression. Neri's research had consumed her. She'd volunteered for outer system observation duty, then malfunctioned her transport to reach the forbidden inner system. The risk was enormous, but so was the potential discovery. If humans truly were different from the Krell despite similar development patterns, the implications for xenopsychology would be revolutionary. The crisis began when her sensors detected an approaching human lunar expedition, far sooner than Council intelligence predicted. As she frantically initiated emergency departure protocols, a critical gravitational stabilizer failed, sending cascading errors through her systems. The pod's stealth shielding flickered and died. Through her view screen, she watched in horror as the human vessel altered course directly toward her now visible craft. The Council's first contact protocols were clear: self-termination before allowing advanced technology to fall into dangerous hands. Her trembling finger hovered above the destruct sequence when her communication system unexpectedly activated. A human voice, speaking in heavily accented but recognizable galactic standard, came through. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Evelyn Chen of the Artemis Project. We detect life support fluctuations in your craft. Do you require assistance?" Neri froze in shock. The humans shouldn't possess translation capability. The communication continued. "We're showing dangerous radiation leakage from your propulsion system. We can help stabilize it if you permit docking. Please respond." The implications raced through her mind. Had the Council been wrong about human technological development? Had there been other unauthorized contact? Or had humans independently developed translation algorithms that could interpret galactic standard? Against all training and protocol, Neri accepted their offer. When the airlock opened, she faced 4 humans in environmental suits. Their reactions, visible through their helmets, ranged from shock to fear to unmistakable wonder. Not one reached for a weapon. The tallest human stepped forward, removing her helmet to reveal dark eyes and a face lined with both authority and compassion. "I'm Captain Chen. Are you injured?" she asked, the translation now flowing smoothly between them. "My name is Nurivax," she responded, antenna drooping in resigned acceptance of her fate. "And I am so gloriously fired." It was a human expression she'd picked up from their entertainment broadcasts, The irony wasn't lost on her as she became the first alien to make direct contact with humanity, shattering a quarantine that had stood for centuries, and discovering that the Council's most fundamental assumptions about human nature might be catastrophically wrong. The emergency transmission bounced through 17 quantum relays before reaching the Galactic Council. Containment breach alpha. To repeat human contact, co-on-FI armid. Ambassador Krellmore received the notification while negotiating a trivial trade dispute between silicon-based species. His outer membrane paled to a sickly yellow as he absorbed the details. As the Council's foremost crisis manager, he understood the implications immediately. The quarantine protocols established by his own great-grandfather had failed. "Prepare my enforcement vessel," he commanded his staff. "Full containment team, memory specialists, and demolition experts. Authorization Omega Black." Within hours, his ship entered emergency translocation toward the Sol system, its engines straining against the laws of physics in ways that would leave them irreparable upon arrival. The cost was irrelevant. If humans gained access to galactic technology, the price would be measured in civilizations, not credits. Meanwhile, at NASA's Johnson Space Center, Marcus Chen, third-shift custodian with a PhD in astrophysics and a rejected astronaut application, pushed his cleaning cart past the newly established restricted zone. His security clearance should have been insufficient, but in the chaos surrounding the unexpected lunar discovery, someone forgot to update the biometric locks. Inside, he found not the expected classified technology test, but a violet-skinned being with trembling antennae speaking with scientists and military personnel. Marcus dropped his mop with a clatter, drawing every eye in the room. "You're not supposed to be here," snapped General Morrison, hand moving instinctively toward his sidearm. "Technically, neither is she," Marcus replied, unable to tear his gaze from the alien. What followed defied all standard first contact protocols. While the assembled experts debated strategies and implications, Marcus wheeled his cart closer and asked Neri questions no one else had considered. "What foods can you eat here? Are our TV broadcasts annoying? Do you have music? What games do your children play?" Through their unexpected conversation, captured on security feeds that would soon reach the approaching ambassador, Neri discovered something the Council's sophisticated assessments missed. Humanity's dangerous unpredictability included a capacity for immediate acceptance that no simulation predicted. "Your species was supposed to panic upon contact," Neri admitted as they shared coffee in the facility's break room. The hot liquid caused her antenna to vibrate alarmingly, but she insisted on participating in what Marcus called the universal diplomatic beverage. "Oh, we're panicking," Marcus assured her, gesturing toward the window where military vehicles continued to arrive. But curiosity beats fear in most scientists, and janitors too, apparently. Hours into their conversation, Neri made a decision that violated her deepest training. "Marcus, there's something you need to understand. Your species has been under quarantine for centuries. The galactic community considers humans too dangerous to join civilization." Marcus snorted coffee through his nose. "They're terrified of us. We still can't stop arguing about basic resource distribution. How could we possibly threaten species that cross interstellar space?" Before Neri could explain, alarms blared throughout the facility. The walls shuddered as Ambassador Krellmore's ship established forced docking protocols outside. Through the windows, they saw shadowy figures in containment suits deploying across the complex. Emergency doors slammed shut as the facility's systems were overridden by technology centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. Ambassador Krellmore himself, a towering figure with chitinous plates rather than skin and pupils that contracted vertically like a predator's, strode into the room flanked by armed guards. His entrance induced immediate, instinctive human terror. "Lieutenant Commander Nerivax," his voice resonated through translators, "you stand accused of breaching Quarantine Directive Alpha Prime. The penalty is mind dissolution." His gaze shifted to Marcus, who stood protectively between the ambassador and Neri despite his terror. As for the humans, all witnesses must be processed. Full cognitive restructuring. The ambassador's guards moved forward with practiced efficiency, capturing both Neri and Marcus, with restraint fields that rendered movement impossible. The enforcement vessel, impenetrable logic, accelerated beyond Mars, making Marcus Chen the first human to leave the solar system. As a prisoner rather than an explorer, his tiny cell contained nothing but a self-molding rest platform and a wall panel that produced nutrient solutions approximating human dietary needs. They tasted like radioactive cardboard. Day 3 of interstellar kidnapping. Marcus muttered to himself, scratching another mark on the wall with his fingernail. Still no in-flight movie. From an observation chamber, Ambassador Krellmore studied the human with Security Chief Vrax, a massive arachnoid whose species evolved as apex predators. He appears calm. Vrax noted with professional disappointment. Most species exhibit severe distress when isolated. Implement the stress protocols, the ambassador ordered. I need unassailable evidence of human volatility for the council presentation. What followed was psychological warfare disguised as scientific examination. The cell's temperature oscillated between freezing and sweltering. Sleep deprivation techniques activated whenever Marcus dozed. Simulations of Earth disasters played on the walls. Foods became increasingly unpalatable. Even gravity fluctuated unpredictably. Through it all, Marcus adapted with disturbing resilience. He sang loudly during sleep deprivation. He used the nutrient solution to write mathematical equations on the walls during stress tests. When shown images of Earth being destroyed, he critiqued the special effects. When gravity failed, he turned it into a game, creating elaborate floating patterns with droplets of water from his drinking ration. The human's responses are anomalous. Security Chief Vrax admitted on day 7. He's demonstrating adaptation rates that exceed our predictive models. Each stressor leads to behavioral evolution rather than breakdown. Precisely why they're dangerous, the ambassador responded. Now implement the final protocol. No species has maintained stability through complete sensory deprivation. That night, as Marcus floated in absolute darkness and silence, a faint scratching came from the ventilation system. A panel slid aside, revealing Neri's luminescent eyes. She was thinner, her skin paler, but very much alive. "Marcus," she whispered, "I can't maintain this connection long. They're recalibrating security algorithms between shift changes." "You look terrible," he responded. "Are you okay?" Her antenna twitched in a gesture he'd learned was equivalent to a sad smile. "I'm facing mind dissolution, and you ask about my welfare. This is why my research was so important. Humans consistently defy behavioral predictions." Over the next hour, as they whispered through the vent, Neri explained the true history behind Earth's quarantine. Centuries ago, a species called the Krell, ironically sharing the ambassador's ancestral name, displayed evolutionary patterns matching humanity's: adaptability through conflict, rapid technological advancement, and psychological unpredictability. The Krell War nearly collapsed galactic civilization, Neri explained. 3 star systems destroyed, billions dead. When observers first documented human development patterns, the algorithmic similarity to Krell metrics was 97.8%. "But we're nothing like these Krell," Marcus protested. "We're explorers, not conquerors." Neri's antenna drooped. "Your own history suggests otherwise. But the real issue isn't what humans are. It's what the Council fears you might become. No quarantine lasts forever. The ambassador is using us to justify more permanent solutions." "What kind of solutions?" Marcus asked, cold dread forming in his stomach. Before she could answer, the ship lurched, artificial gravity momentarily failing. "We've arrived," Neri whispered, sliding the panel closed. "Tomorrow you'll become the first human to stand before the Galactic Council." "Wait," Marcus called desperately through the sealed vent. "What happens at this council?" The ship's systems reactivated, but not before he heard Neri's fading response. They'll dissect everything you are to determine if humanity deserves to exist. The great chamber of the Galactic Council stretched impossibly large, a cathedral-like space accommodating representatives from 4,217 civilizations across 3 galactic arms. Marcus, shackled with energy restraints and still wearing his NASA janitorial jumpsuit, felt microscopically small as he was led to the central assessment platform. The chamber's design itself was psychologically intimidating, a deliberate feature, not a bug. Hovering observation platforms extended upward in spiraling tiers, filled with beings of every conceivable morphology. Some appeared almost human, others defied categorization entirely. All focused intently on the first human to stand before them. High Admiral Zex Terra approached the central podium, her ceremonial armor gleaming. Esteemed representatives, I present Specimen H1, a member of species designate human from the quarantine system Sol 3. Ambassador Krellmore has brought this subject following the most severe quarantine breach in Council history. Massive screens materialized throughout the chamber, displaying Earth's history in carefully selected fragments. Warfare, environmental destruction, nuclear testing, viral outbreaks, and resource depletion, all with commentary emphasizing humanity's self-destructive tendencies. This species views conflict as essential to advancement, the Admiral continued, circling Marcus like a predator. Their cellular structures regenerate from injuries that would terminate most sentient life. Their psychology embraces contradiction and irrationality. Most concerning, they advance primarily through competition rather than cooperation. Marcus searched the chamber desperately until he spotted Neri on a lower detention platform, surrounded by guards. She gave an almost imperceptible nod of encouragement. To verify these assertions, Ambassador Krellmore announced, "We will subject the specimen to the standard assessment protocols." A neural interface descended from above, connecting to Marcus's consciousness without permission, projecting his responses for all to witness. The pain was brief but intense, like thousands of needles entering his skull simultaneously before fading to a dull pressure. First came the loyalty assessment. Marcus was presented with a scenario where he must either betray his species for personal advantage or suffer for their collective benefit. To the Council's confusion, he chose collective benefit without hesitation. Next, the logic paradox. A complex mathematical problem designed to induce frustration and aggression when no solution exists. Marcus studied it briefly before suggesting an approach using dimensional mathematics that the test designers hadn't considered, technically incorrect but impressively creative. Finally, the conflict simulation. Marcus was shown realistic scenarios of potential human-alien conflicts and asked to respond. Rather than defaulting to aggression or submission as expected, he consistently identified diplomatic options and mutual benefits that the simulation designers had overlooked. Murmurs spread through the chamber as results contradicted expected patterns. Anomalous responses. Simulation parameters must be flawed. Subject may be a typical specimen. A bold motion suddenly echoed through the chamber. Neri had broken protocol, activating her academic credentials to access the speaking platform despite her prisoner status. Distinguished representatives, her voice carried surprising authority for someone facing execution. I have studied humans directly. You claim they're dangerous because they don't think like us. But perhaps that's precisely what makes them valuable. Their contradictory nature, capacity for both destruction and creation, gives them perspectives our homogeneous thinking lacks. Her statement triggered shouting matches across multiple platforms. Species with ancient rivalries found rare agreement in their fear of humanity, while others began questioning the ethical basis of the quarantine itself. As chaos spread, Marcus's neural interface remained active. Taking advantage of the distraction, he projected a simple question that appeared on every screen throughout the chamber. If you're truly an advanced, peaceful civilization, why is your first response to difference always fear rather than curiosity? The question hung in the air as the chamber fell silent. At that moment, alarms began blaring throughout the complex. Emergency communications overrode the chamber's protocols. Alert status Alpha. Unauthorized transmission detected from Sol system. Earth has broken quarantine barriers. Repeat. Earth has broken quarantine barriers. The moment Ambassador Krellmore's enforcement vessel departed Earth orbit with Marcus, something remained behind. Fragments of advanced technology scattered during the hasty abduction. Technology that should never have fallen into human hands. In a hastily established underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert, Dr. Aisha Karim hunched over components recovered from NASA's compromised facility. As Earth's foremost xenotechnology expert, a field that didn't officially exist until 2 weeks ago, she led the newly formed Extraterrestrial Response Division, an unprecedented collaboration between former geopolitical rivals. Run the decryption algorithm again, she instructed her international team, pushing back exhaustion after 72 sleepless hours. Focus on the subspace frequency bands we identified in the propulsion fragments. On screens surrounding them, news reports documented the global transformation following confirmation of alien contact. Religious upheaval, scientific paradigm shifts, and most surprisingly, rapid dissolution of long-standing political conflicts as humanity faced an existential question. Why did technologically superior aliens abduct a NASA janitor after establishing contact, then vanish? Dr. Karim called her quantum cryptography specialist. We've broken through another encryption layer. You need to see this immediately. The holographic display flickered to life, showing fragments of alien communications. The team watched in stunned silence as translation algorithms rendered the content. Detailed plans for maintaining Earth's quarantine, with disturbing references to neutralization protocols, should humans approach faster-than-light capabilities. They'd been containing us deliberately, whispered Dr. Karim, and they're prepared to eliminate us if necessary. When she presented these findings to the United Earth Security Council, a body that didn't exist a week earlier, the response was decisive. Humanity's divisions evaporated in the face of external threat. Resources poured into Karim's division with a clear mandate: break the quarantine technology and establish communication with whomever held Marcus Chen. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council remained in unprecedented continuous session. Marcus's assessment had sparked the most significant ideological split in 10,000 years of governance. The humans' responses demonstrate exactly why quarantine must be maintained, Ambassador Krellmore argued before the council. Their unpredictability makes them impossible to properly integrate into galactic society. The progressive faction, led by representatives from traditionally exploratory species, countered. These results suggest our algorithms may be fundamentally flawed. If one random human can identify alternatives our collective intelligence missed, perhaps the quarantine itself is based on faulty assumptions. As debate intensified, Admiral Zext Carey interrupted with urgent intelligence. Surveillance probes are detecting unprecedented unification of human military and scientific resources. They appear to be analyzing quarantine technology. They are preparing for aggressive action, exactly as our models predicted. The ambassador seized this opening. I move to immediately implement the Earth Contingency Protocol. We can no longer risk half measures. When confused murmurs spread through the chamber, he activated a classified briefing channel. The room filled with holographic schematics showing massive technological structures hidden throughout Earth's solar system. Planet-killer weapon platforms disguised as asteroids, constructed centuries ago as a last resort. These platforms can generate an impenetrable quantum barrier around the entire system, the ambassador explained. No matter or energy may pass in either direction. Humans will remain permanently isolated until they either destroy themselves or evolve beyond their dangerous nature. The vote was narrow but decisive. The Earth contingency would be activated. Across the galaxy, Dr. Karim's team celebrated a breakthrough. They'd managed to decode and hijack a minor council communication channel. Transmitting message now, she announced, initiating humanity's first intentional communication with the galactic community. As her message transmitted, sensors detected massive energy buildups throughout the solar system, ancient weapon platforms activating simultaneously. The Earth contingency activated with terrible grandeur, ancient weapon platforms disguised as asteroids throughout the solar system, simultaneously powering up. Designed millennia ago at the height of Galactic Council technology, they began generating a quantum isolation field meant to permanently seal Earth from the rest of the universe. But something went catastrophically wrong. Dr. Karim's hijacked transmission, Earth's desperate attempt to open dialogue, hit the system at precisely the wrong harmonic frequency. The quarantine field, designed to create impenetrable isolation, instead destabilized catastrophically as it interacted with the unique quantum signature of Earth's communication technology. The results defied physics as understood by either civilization. Instead of creating isolation, the malfunctioning field generated unstable Einstein-Rosen bridges, wormholes, throughout the solar system and beyond. On Earth, panic erupted as shimmering tears in reality appeared in population centers worldwide. Dr. Karim watched in horror from her Atacama facility as her instruments registered hundreds, then thousands of spatial anomalies forming globally. "What have we done?" she whispered as her team's monitors showed the impossible. Direct visual feeds of alien worlds through the rifts. In Mexico City, bewildered humans stared through a kilometer-wide portal at the crystalline spires of the Galactic Council capital. In rural Japan, farmers found themselves face-to-face with insectoid beings from an agricultural world. In downtown Chicago, a rift opened directly into an alien educational facility, terrified students on both sides staring at each other in mute shock. The contingency had achieved the exact opposite of its purpose. Instead of isolating humanity, it had connected Earth to hundreds of worlds simultaneously. At Galactic Council headquarters, emergency systems blared as reports flooded in of unprecedented spatial anomalies. The council chamber itself was breached when a shimmering portal opened directly behind the High Admiral, revealing the United Nations General Assembly in full emergency session on the other side. "Containment failure," screamed Ambassador Krulmore, his composed diplomatic veneer shattering. "Emergency protocols. Seal all critical systems." In the chaos, Marcus, still connected to the neural interface, saw his opportunity. With the Council's attention diverted to the crisis, the restraint fields momentarily fluctuated. He broke free, racing across the platform toward Neri's detention area. The system's backfiring. He shouted as he disabled her restraints. Whatever they tried to do to Earth is creating doorways instead of walls. Together they fought their way to the communication hub, past guards distracted by the unprecedented emergency. Neri's knowledge of Council systems allowed them to override the central broadcast network, the one channel still functioning amid the chaos. Marcus seized the opportunity, activating the galaxy-wide emergency broadcast system. This is Marcus Chen, speaking to two civilizations on the brink of catastrophe, born from mutual fear. To my fellow humans encountering alien beings through these portals, they aren't invaders. They're people who were scared of what we might become. And to the Galactic Council, your worst fears are becoming reality not because of human nature, but because your actions are creating the very threat you sought to prevent. He continued, his voice reaching billions across two civilizations. We have a choice now. We can respond with fear and violence, fulfilling your prediction that we're dangerous. Or we can show you what humans really are, adaptable enough to accept the impossible and curious enough to seek understanding before conflict. As Marcus spoke, something unprecedented happened across 1,000 worlds. The initial panic began to subside as both humans and aliens chose curiosity over fear. Through the portals, tentative first contacts multiplied. Gestures of peace, offerings of objects, attempts at communication. The quarantine hadn't merely broken. It had shattered in the most unpredictable way possible. Humanity was no longer isolated. For better or worse, the galaxy had changed forever. 6 months after the quarantine's collapse, the galaxy had changed forever. The feared human invasion never materialized. Instead, the catastrophic failure of the Earth contingency had become known across galactic civilization as the Great Opening, the most significant cultural exchange in recorded history. Marcus stood at the viewport of the newly established Earth Embassy on the Galactic Council's capital world. Behind him, a delegation of human scientists, diplomats, and artists prepared for the historic signing ceremony. "Ready for your moment in history, Ambassador Chen?" Dr. Karim asked, adjusting his formal attire. A blend of Earth fashion and council ceremonial elements, symbolic of the new era. Marcus smiled at the title he still hadn't grown accustomed to. "I'm a janitor who stumbled into an alien Asia. Let's not pretend I earned this position through diplomatic expertise. You earned it by understanding what the council couldn't, that unpredictability can be a strength, not just a threat." The doors opened to reveal Nirivax, now wearing the formal insignia of the newly created Human Integration Commission. The council had appointed her, the xenoanthropologist who'd broken quarantine, to lead the historic transition. What had been considered her greatest crime was now recognized as the catalyst for needed change. "It's time," she said, her antenna vibrating with barely contained excitement. "The full council awaits." The great chamber looked dramatically different from Marcus's first appearance there. Rather than the intimidating assessment platform, a circular table now occupied the center, a human diplomatic tradition adopted by the council for this occasion. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered to witness the implementation of Integration Protocol Humanity, a framework for incorporating Earth into galactic society. High Admiral Zex Terra, once humanity's greatest opponent, stood as Marcus entered. The council recognizes Ambassador Marcus Chen of Earth, architect of the Great Opening. Marcus approached the central table, carrying evidence of what 6 months of human-alien cooperation had already achieved. He activated the holographic display, showing 3 case studies that had transformed galactic opinion. First, the medical revolution. Human researchers, applying their understanding of aggressive cellular regeneration developed during cancer research, had created treatments for a plague decimating the Andorian systems. Where council medicine had failed, human medical improvisation succeeded. Second, environmental reclamation. Earth's long history of environmental disasters had provided valuable models for terraforming failing colony worlds. Human mistakes had created expertise that saved multiple civilizations facing planetary collapse. Most surprisingly, defense network optimization, human game theory, developed for competition rather than cooperation, had identified critical weaknesses in the galactic defense network that had gone undetected for centuries. Rather than exploiting these vulnerabilities, Earth had volunteered solutions. "We feared humans because their development paths showed similarities to the Krell," Admiral Zex Terra concluded after reviewing the evidence. "But we failed to see a crucial difference. Where the Krell sought dominance, humans seek connection. Their contradictions aren't flaws, they're evolutionary advantages." As the Council voted unanimously to fully welcome Earth into galactic society, Marcus met Neri's eyes across the chamber. Her early research hypothesis had been correct. Humans were dangerous, but not in the ways the Council had feared. Their unpredictability, adaptability, and capacity for both conflict and compassion made them the perfect catalysts for a galactic civilization that had grown too comfortable in its certainties. The final image of the ceremony was broadcast across thousands of worlds. A human child and a young alien playing together in a park on a distant world, neither aware of how recently their meeting would have been forbidden. A simple picture demonstrating how quickly fear of difference could transform into celebration of diversity.